Julie sent me a meme that said, she said, "Is this you?" And this woman wrote on Twitter, "My son got his report card today, and academically he did well, but his teacher wrote a note specifying, quote, he needs to use kind words with friends. I asked him about it, and he said, my friends are dumb, and they need to know." So maybe I don't always suffer fools gladly. I'm working on it.
Yes. Also, describing memes on a podcast, truly the next frontier.
I'm so glad that you said the next frontier. Let's see, do I have anything for you for that?
Make it so.
Oh, well, there you go. That's the final frontier.
We've been rewatching Star Trek The Next Generation because we got CBS All Access. You know, now that it's like pandemic and we've beaten TV, there's nothing left to watch. I'm just trying like different ridiculous streaming services. It's felt like we cut cable. We got rid of cable TV and instead I just pay for gigabit internet. And now there's like 8 streaming services I got to pay for. At what point do you just go back to cable?
Well, the problem is the exclusives. And like...
So I can't?
Well, I mean... I think about my entertainment budget. I also subscribe to pretty much all the streaming services. But given my entertainment budget is that, and like computer games, it's really not that much. It's like, well, how much do you spend? Do you spend $50 a month on streaming services? It's like, yeah. I also don't drink very much, and there's obviously no restaurants to go to. So what do you want me to do?
Okay, well, I order out a lot and drink too much. So, but saving a lot of money on not driving or leaving the house, I suppose.
But yeah, HBO Max has a ton of movies on it.
What's with the deal with HBO and all these there's how many streaming services has HBO had or need?
Well, there was HBO Now,
HBO Go, HBO Max.
They Go and Now are done.
Okay.
Now there's just Max.
Oh, all right. So that eliminates some of the confusion.
Listen, are you going to buy the Xbox One S or the Xbox One S Plus or the Xbox X Plus S? Because I don't even I pay attention to video games and I don't even understand this shit.
No, and I'm not. Currently, we've not had an Xbox for a few years. I don't know. I'm sure the kids will hit me up for a console for Christmas. I don't want to do it. I'm like so burned out of messing with consoles. All in on VR though. Love that VR. It's going nowhere fast. On the
boring these people.
I got nothing. Just the soul crushing monotonousness that is surviving 2020. That's all we got. All I'm down to. Okay. Unofficial Shopify Podcast. And today on the podcast, we're going to talk about authenticity in brands. That one didn't.
What? Stop it!
All right, so I'm your host, Kurt Elster, joined by my co-host, Paul Rita, who did a wonderful job playing Fezzik in the Princess Bride live stream. Thank you so much. I was so impressed by that.
Anybody want a peanut?
Wow! It's like he's right there with us. I'm so impressed. I did watch the Princess Bride live stream. I enjoyed it. But it was quite
you texted me about it, and I was just like, hey, who plays Fezzik? And you're like, I don't know, who the hell's Fezzik? Because you don't see cultural touchstone movies.
No, that's a very strange part of my childhood upbringing. I did not realize was weird until I was an adult.
I remember I made like a very obvious Wizard of Oz joke to you like 5 years ago, and you were like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, The Wizard of Oz? And you're like, is that a movie? I've never seen it. You had no clue.
Pop culture was resisted in my house, and I'm really not sure why and how that came to be, but it was. So
and I was just like, oh, and I also did a thing. I said something about this is not my beautiful house, and you're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Talking Heads, and you're like, who are Talking Heads? Like you have no cultural knowledge whatsoever. No sports knowledge, no cultural knowledge. You're just a weird business monster who has no feelings.
I worked and developed feelings starting around 2015.
Yeah.
Prior to then, though, probably no feelings.
Yeah, I'd give you that.
So we're discussing a series of largely disparate issues on the show, but the running theme is authenticity in branding, authenticity in your brand. And along that topic, we're going to discuss authenticity. We're going to discuss an idea that you could borrow from sneaker culture if you're a hype beast, like I occasionally am. We're going to talk about Nikola, Shinola, Madewell, some wild things in the news that you may have missed. And we had to mention quite a few things as we go into Q4 here, including our new PageSpeed testing tool and some other items that are coming up on the podcast as we wrap up 2020. It's crazy to think about. 2020 has been a wild year in which it seems like it has been gone quite a long time, but also like it was just March. I can't keep track of time anymore. And then finally, we'll wrap it up by tearing down the Shinola Detroit watch store. At least I think that they largely sell watches. Maybe they have other stuff.
No, they're not watches. They're just a lot of random disparate crap.
Oh, really? All right.
Because that goes into their whole story.
Okay, we'll save it then. Some housekeeping items. Black Friday's around the corner, so we got some good episodes. Ari Baga is going to tell us about SMS. I got Kurt Bullock lined up to tell us how we should configure our Facebook ads going into Black Friday. And Ezra Firestone will be back to run us through what he's going to do to have his best Black Friday ever yet again. And our holiday email guide, I put it back up. It's available for sale, so people have started buying it. It is still the 2019 version. I'm going to update it for 2020, and it's going to include an updated timeline, or new dates, of course, for 2020, and 2020 specific considerations like logistics and this darn election that is just going to torture me with anxiety until it's over. So you could buy it now, and you'll get lifetime updates every buy it now for $29, and I update it every single year. You will get the update for free. We've been doing it 3-4 years now, and those people have all gotten the updates.
Yeah, that's like not good business by us.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
it's just
we
idiotic.
Really should
what am I thinking?
Stop giving people free content every year.
Well, the podcast is free. The sponsors pay.
We sell ads on it, so
yeah. So, oh god, the audience is the product. I'm no better than Zuckerberg. Oh no.
Speaking of not being better than Zuckerberg, financing options. No.
And lastly, okay, kind of exciting. And the native checkout integrations, this is totally unofficial, off the record, but it looks like those native checkout integrations are rolling out soonish. You know, where like previously a subscription app like Recharge or Bold Recurring Orders or Ezra's Zipify one-click upsell had to replace your checkout in Shopify. And as part of that, like it could create reporting issues. It can mess with various payment options. It's kind of a pain. It would be better, ideally, for everybody if those apps could work in your native Shopify checkout. Oh my gosh, that's coming. We're going to be able to, we'll get that. And yeah, they announced that a while ago. But now when did they announce that? 2018.
That's in the
May or June 2018 that got announced.
That's in the I'll believe it when I see it category.
I'm quite convinced my bet, and this is again unofficial. My bet is all this will be available in time for Black Friday.
Do they want to screw with everyone's checkouts before Black Friday though?
Maybe it's like limited beta, or it's like, okay, here are the people who are allowed to do it. You know, it's like, all right, you can't, if you're an existing, you can't migrate, but if you're already on it, or if you want to jump into it and start fresh, at this point, I'm just making stuff up.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing. But I mean, if that's a thing, so the action item is, if you were like thinking about setting up a subscription system for the first time, like this week,
wait,
you probably want to wait.
Yeah.
Just like wait, see what happens, you know, or if there's any announcements, at least keep your ear to the street. I think it'll pay off. There's a question that was posted in our Facebook group that seems to be a recurring theme, and it's been posed to me by all kinds of people. Actually, even Ezra Firestone asked me once about this. And the question is, are you looking it up?
I'm looking it up.
Okay.
We bring this up not to pick on the person that asked the question, because this question gets asked.
It's a common question.
It's very common. But they were talking about, all of these buy now, pay later apps that people have on their stores.
Sezzle, Klarna, Afterpay, QuadPay.
Yeah. And he says, it doesn't sit right with me. I'm getting asked to do this by people, and like they're getting refused. And
he means customers.
He means his customers?
Are asking him to add this financing option.
Financing options to their stores, and he's just like, I'm just helping them get even deeper into debt, and like I need to control. I mean, and the implication here is the customers are making bad choices, obviously, and I should not allow this in order to not allow them to make bad choices.
So the argument is, don't let people buy your stuff. As a merchant, I have a responsibility to my customers, and where does that responsibility end? And I have guilt that I know that I assume that if they are asking me for multiple financing options, it's because they don't have the cash to buy my stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, cash is king. Like I will, when I have plenty of cash to buy something 2-3 times over, I'll still finance it. I want the cash flow.
Yeah.
And these financing options,
they're like zero interest, right?
Many are 0%.
Yeah.
And it's not like, my $100 good is a 60-month financing at like 4%. No, it's 0% over 4 payments.
I mean, these are actively better for the end consumer than credit cards. Credit cards are what, 22%? Mine's like 22, 24.
My lowest credit card interest rate, 10.5%. But most of them are like 15 to 20.
Yeah. And so this idea of, well, if I offer them Sezzle, they're just getting even deeper into debt, and they're too dumb, and I need to take care of this for them. If you actually felt that way, stop taking credit card payments.
That's the catch, if you don't like the financing options, fundamentally, you really should not be accepting credit cards. Like, if that's the moral argument.
And whenever we say this to people, it always immediately shuts them down. And they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to do that. It's like, oh, I thought you were the king of morals. But all of a sudden, when we show that you're not the king of morals, well, never mind. I guess it wasn't that bad anyway.
Well, I think their credit cards are just such a part of American life that you don't think twice about it.
Yeah.
Versus, these financing solutions are really quite new, and so I think that's part of it. In this particular instance, though, so we've had this conversation separately with multiple people many times, but in this particular poster's defense, he had a screenshot of a website that had
3 different
They had
ones.
3 different financing options. And then he inferred, like, well, if you get declined for one, you go to the next. If you get declined for that one, you go to the next. And I don't think that's the case. I think it's simply people who use those, once you're already registered on one, it's just easier to keep using that one. So I think it was really, hey, we're just offering you multiple options. And as an inbound traffic strategy, many of those financing solutions will be like, hey, here's all our merchant, like a searchable list of our merchants that accept this. So if this is your preferred payment provider and you're looking for an item, okay, here's the list.
Well, but also note on that page, the items he was showing were $20 pieces of clothing. So if you're like, these people are wrecking their financial futures, it's like, it's $20, dude.
Yeah, making 4 $5 payments at 0%.
Yeah.
What we have found with those financing options is they tend to work better in stores with average order values under $100, because like over a certain amount, the financing people don't want to deal with it, and the consumer's more likely to just use a credit card. But no, I don't. I have no ethical or moral issue with these financing solutions.
And I think it's frankly unethical to, I mean, if you can somehow concoct a universe where you're like, well, I need to make sure that these people can actually afford this. It's like, who the hell are you? Like, who do you think you are?
Yeah, certainly, at no point was Tesla like, look, can you afford this car?
Well, and with cars, they do a credit check on you because they're giving you a giant loan. If you come in and pay, I mean, that even, they don't want to lose their loan payments. That's different.
Well, and with these financing options, I don't think there's any recourse if you just drop the payments.
It's not like they're going to repo it.
Yeah, they're not going to come get their $20 t-shirt.
They just like hit your credit or something.
Truthfully, I'm sure it changes depending on which solution, but I remember hearing, and I could be wrong, take this with a grain of salt, that when it's 4 payments or less, that does not require credit reporting.
Mm.
And that's part of why they're all 4 payments or less. It's because it streamlines the entire process, but does so like at the risk to the financier.
All right.
So again, another point in favor of
Yeah.
these financing solutions.
We're just talking about it now. You know what it makes me think of? Pizza Today.
What's Pizza Today?
Remember that?
Oh, Pizza Today. All right, tell them the Pizza Today story.
So I love industrial magazines, which is like niche magazines for a very specific
Trade
market.
publications.
Trade publications that no one would outside of the trade. And it's all just full of like weird inside lingo and like problems.
And these things really exist so they could just build a list of a very niche industry.
So my brother works in the restaurant industry, and
he's a Coke dealer.
He's a Coke dealer.
He sells Coca-Cola.
He sells Coca-Cola. But he had a copy of a magazine laying around called Pizza Today, which is the official magazine of pizza place owners.
What was the infamous op-ed piece in Pizza Today that we read and I'll never forget?
It wasn't in the op-ed section. It was in the letter section.
Okay.
A guy was like, "What do I do?" Because he was mad because he slaves over his pizza that he makes for people, and then these fucking hooligan Visigoths take
these dilettante pizza eaters
take the red pepper shaker and the Parmesan cheese and the oregano shakers and shake it all over the pizza that they bought.
What were they thinking?
They destroy his flavor profile.
My flavor profile!
And he can't stand seeing it. He just can't stand it. So what should he do? And he was thinking about maybe getting special tops where the holes are too small, where it requires too much shaking to get out too much, so that people eventually give up and don't wreck the pizza he just sold them.
You just ruined my flavor profile. Ignoring that taste is subjective.
Well, and so the answer is, you sold them the pizza, asshole. Your job is to sell them the pizza. Then they eat the pizza and they get to eat it however they want.
Yeah, now that I own the pizza, I get to do with it what I want.
And so your job is merely to sell the pizza, not control how they consume it. In this case, your job is to sell them the bralettes on your store, the store in question here, like the underwear. Like, your job is to sell them the underwear, not determine how they pay for the underwear, not question their finances for the $20 piece of underwear you're selling them. Just sell them the underwear and ship it to them. You got enough to worry about.
At the same time, I appreciate the empathy and the responsibility taken there. But ultimately, just because of the insidiousness of credit cards, the argument just rapidly falls apart.
It's funny how you see it as empathy and I see it as like incredible nosiness and presumptuousness. Like, who the fuck are you to say I can't buy this? Like, fuck you. Like, that's kind of what's happening here.
But they're doing it at their own cost. So I think it is ultimately altruistic. All right. Moving on from there, we've got I hate to even report on it, but it made national news. There was a Shopify data leak.
But it was interesting.
It was interesting. Less than 200 stores were affected. They put out a statement. I think they handled it really well. They're working with the FBI, and I think ultimately this is just going to lead to Shopify going ham on security.
See, I think you're wrong there. Because the contours of this leak was, we determined, this I'm quoting here from their thing, we determined that 2 rogue members of our support team were engaged in a scheme to obtain customer transactional records of certain merchants. So 2 rogue Shopify support people got access to the records of 200 merchants they were targeting. Maybe those are the only ones they had access to. I don't know. And we're getting the customer data.
They were exporting, the customer data with the assumption that it was to sell it.
But it says that they didn't get payment information.
They want to build an email list out of it and sell it. Or like you export all those emails, you make that a custom audience in Facebook. Now I can retarget those people. And then I start a similar store.
But it's like complete.
Again, this would be just guessing as to why you would want to do this.
Complete payment card numbers or other sensitive personal or financial information was not part of the incident. So it's not like they were stealing their credit cards.
No, this was not financial fraud. It's data fraud.
It's data fraud. But so this thing where you're like, Shopify is going to go crazy on security now. Everything's going to be like 2-factor.
Well, this is a violation of GDPR. But like in Europe, this is a real problem.
It's an internal Shopify issue, though. It wasn't like on the end users.
So I think their processes will get. I'm sure they'll tighten up internal processes and security controls. My hope is so Shopify has this internal change log, but it's fairly limited in its reporting. I would love, just like so you could just do nonstop finger pointing as to who broke what, right? Like, here is just one universal log for the store of who touched what when in the store. And then that would also, that transparency also enforces some honesty in that, like, hey, why'd you export all my customer data? Individual contractor. And then they'll be like, it was an accident? I don't know, it's if like I ask my kids, Mom said it was okay?
I have a weird question here. In the thing that they stated of these people, we immediately terminated these individuals' access to our Shopify network and referred the incident to law enforcement. Does the phrasing, it doesn't say that they fired them, mean anything? Because to me, does that mean they were just like support contractors and not official Shopify employees?
Well,
or am I just reading too deep into it?
I think you're reading too deep into it. Like whether they were, in the U.S., it's like, well, are they 1099 or W-2? And I think in this instance, who cares?
That's true, but I just feel like, it's a worse look for Shopify if it's like, yeah, it's our support team, which is like this center of freelancers that we outsource to. And like those people have access to all the customer data. Like, they weren't even official Shopify employees in the building.
Well, everyone's
working from home.
Everyone's working from home anyway.
In the building, you know what I mean.
I think that's subjective, but for me personally, I don't think it makes a difference.
All right.
Also, I'm in a position where I like contractors, and I am a contractor.
I'm not saying it's you know what I mean.
Yes. No, I don't think that it has any bearing on it. I think the important part is they were entirely transparent about it. They immediately put out a statement detailed, here's exactly what happened, here's what we're doing about it. And that's like when you have an incident like this, what more do you want?
And none of the credit cards got out.
No, it was, I really think this was about, the value is, the core value in a internet business is the list. And misguided as these individuals were, they saw that and stole and said, well, okay, we could sneak the valuable part out. It's just a CSV. Who cares? We just need that it's okay. It's fine. And no, like now that I'm sure they justified it to themselves, and now the FBI, is like, how you doing?
Oh,
the worst part is I had a sound effect on the soundboard that was a guy going, FBI, open up. And I'm like, when am I ever going to use this? And I took it off.
That's definitely the worst part.
That's the worst part about this, 100%.
That you have a sound you weren't able to use.
Yeah, you know what I replaced it with?
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Do you just, I didn't realize we're working from home, so we're taking things a lot easier. Do you just spend time just uploading things to the soundboard all day? Is that most of your day?
So,
Are you on like the CompuServe wave file forum? Because I spent a lot of time on there back in 92, 93.
I will now think to myself like, X theme, like brand license, whatever, or X fandom probably has cool soundboards. And now I'll Google them. So I had Googled Star Trek soundboard, Star Wars Rick and Morty soundboard, right? And then I'll also just look like, what are some top sound effects? And I'll try and get those too. Now I want to keep it interesting for you, all right? And the thing is too fun. It's not going to stop.
Resistance is futile.
Still on the Star Trek. I'm so sorry.
A guy got arrested. I don't know who this is or anything about it.
This is unrelated to the data breach we just discussed.
You were very excited about this.
Moving on from the data breach. The NS8 founder, Adam Rogas, got arrested. So NS8 was amusingly or ironically, it was an anti-fraud solution for Shopify to try and, for several platforms, I think, but Shopify was one of them. And it was a big deal because they had the biggest valuation, and they came out of nowhere. It felt like they came out of nowhere, so clearly this is like the big anti-fraud solution. And the co-founder Adam Rogas got arrested and charged with securities fraud, wire fraud, and fraud in the offer of sale of securities. The FBI is the one who arrested him, so we got federal crimes here. Defrauded investors of $123 million. That's the charge, the claim.
And this is yet another securities fraud person that you've hung out with?
So I talked about infamously my lunch with Ken and Carrie Courtright from the Income Store, and then they are now they're in litigation with the SEC. In New York, I spoke at Shopify Pursuit, as did Adam Rogas from NS8. As Adam from NS8 spoke there, and we both spoke the same day, and I talked to him a little bit. So not quite the same.
Was he like, I got a sweet investment opportunity for you?
No, I was not. He did not pitch me on his on a tremendous investment opportunity.
Oh, that's good. Well, I mean, it's like anytime. I think Shopify and e-commerce is definitely in a gold rush stage still.
That's what's going on.
And anytime you have that, you just have like scammers coming out of the woodwork. I mean, we talked about this, almost a year and a half ago, maybe almost 2 years ago, about all like the drop shippers and all the gurus trying to like con people.
Yeah.
And like now we've reached that. Those are like individual cons of like individual people's amounts of money. Now we've reached into high level securities fraud cons.
Right. Yes. And that is just by virtue of having a hot industry, it's going to happen. In February and March, when we were worried about what's going to happen with the pandemic, one of the things I would tell myself so I could sleep at night is, in business, you want to go where the money is. We are already where the money is. Unfortunately, if you're a criminal or you're a sociopath, you have exactly the same thinking. It's like, if you're going to rip somebody off, go to where the money is, right? And and it's unfortunate timing that these things happened, within a week of each other, but entirely unrelated and unfortunate. But just be careful, I suppose.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's not great. All right, let's move on, and we discussed our financing options. So you largely, I was like, I'm going to take 10% credit for this. We were talking on the phone, and we were joking about PageSpeed, about the PageSpeed Insights tool, and we decided.
Well, I forget. I think like you made a crack or something about like we need to make like an anxiety tool or something. It's like they just need to see the numbers go up. It's like, oh, the number was high, so I feel better now. Like, because that's all it is.
Yes. Well, there's a tool that's giving you the issue with PageSpeed as a metric for store speed is, if I want a great metric for your store's load time, well, I could literally figure out how long it takes to load. I just ran one today. A store that got 17 in page speed loaded in 1.1 seconds and had a 3.5 meg homepage.
Yeah,
that's excellent.
Why are we using a proxy instead of just a proxy for store speed instead of just
actual
measuring the
literal store speed? And on top of it, those page speed when you score it like that, those are like worst case scenario because it's cold load. Usually there's at least parts of it that are cached that don't get loaded, so it ends up loading faster. Anyway, we joked about we should make our own PageSpeed tool. That's the PageSpeed anxiety regulation tool, and you did it, and it was very funny.
Yeah, so we cranked that out in about 90 minutes. I made a tool that you can put your URL into, and it'll help relieve your PageSpeed anxiety.
Yes, and it's at the start of the Shinola Teardown. We'll test it on Shinola. How about that? All right. So a couple days ago, I became aware that there is a Lego Adidas brand collab in which they're going to release Lego sneakers. Adidas is making Lego sneakers. I am very excited about.
That don't sound very comfortable.
Well, they're not actually plastic.
Oh.
They're not Lego. They have the Lego studs on there and the Lego logo and
on like the bottom.
It's like in the back of the heel.
Oh,
on the outside.
The bottom should be Lego studs.
I didn't look close. Maybe it is.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Anyway, these are like cartoon shoes. You sent me a link to them.
Yeah, they're like 90s dorky dad type shoes. They're normcore. I like them. But the way, if you're not familiar with these limited edition sneaker drops and like streetwear fashion culture, a lot of stuff now is everything's like a brand collab and it's limited edition. And often these brand collabs are based on fandoms where it's like, okay, I know you like sneakers and I know you like The Simpsons. We'll just make Simpsons sneakers. actual thing. If you go to Vans, you can buy Simpson sneakers right now. And then they only do it. They're like, we're just going to make X number. It's going to run from this time to this time. And that's the end of it. And for some of the really hot stuff, because it is hyper limited, it creates scarcity. And obviously, like, this is all engineered. If you want to just keep making them because they sell, I'm sure you could just run the license. But that's not how this culture works. It's got a clear start and end to it. And for the really big stuff, it sells out immediately, and then you can't buy it again. Like, if you want Kanye shoes, Yeezys, that are also made by Adidas, and you have to go in the Adidas app, search Yeezy, it will not show you a single shoe. It'll just be like, you can sign up to be notified if we release these again. Oh, geez. That makes it, you want it that much more. Like, I gotta have it. And so with the way these Lego sneakers, the way they do it, the only way to buy them, I had to download the Adidas app. I then had to agree to push notifications. That's like, I'm pretty sure that's part of the requirement. Pre-purchase and then I'd get I showed up late, but you would get a notification when you're available to enter. Pre-purchase the shoe in the app, and then days later, so it'll be last Friday when this airs, they'll have done a drawing, and you'll just find out, like, either you got charged and you get the sneakers, or you're out of luck and they're already all sold out. Isn't that bizarre?
I hate this.
It's very strange, and they don't do it with everything. They do it with, like, these select limited editions or collections where you'll get, like, a high-end designer who would do them. And when we're discussing, like, just the level of demand this creates, the Yeezys, the Adidas Kanye West shoes, the Yeezy Boost 350, those were, I think they were 200 was retail, and if you get them on, like, eBay or StockX, you're paying 500 to 1,000. Probably like 600 to 800 is where it's going to sit. And then infamously the Off-White Air Jordans, if you want to, those were, I don't know what they were new, 100, 200, $2,000 is what you're going to pay in StockX, likely, which is a eBay-ish site entirely just devoted to streetwear. Huge culture. And you get sucked into it. So after I'd already potentially prepaid these shoes, I then signed up for notifications for the next limited one, which were Boba Fett Star Wars sneakers for $100-something. So that's like, I know 100% what's going on and completely fell for all of it. That's very much a trap here. My point, though, is you can leverage these ideas. And I keep thinking more and more about it, especially after this Adidas thing.
Well, Hoonigan does this too, don't they?
Hoonigan does this. Drops? The one that I really like, yeah, Hoonigan does it. That's a good example. We'll run through that and how you could use that for Black Friday. And Adam's Polishes.
Oh, yeah, totally.
They do it to a phenomenal degree. And I posted this in the Facebook group. They did a full homepage takeover of their limited edition pumpkin spice detailing supplies.
Does it smell like pumpkin spice?
Yes.
Ugh.
So it's got like a pumpkin spice label and pumpkin spice scent. On some of them, they change the color. And the advantage here is, like, fundamentally, cleaning supplies are a commodity good and a consumable good. So you're very reliant on repeat customer purchases. If you can do a special edition or limited edition version of your best-selling products that your best customers are very likely to already buy, then you have given them the excuse and opportunity and reason to buy the same thing twice, especially on a consumable good. So I have fallen in love with this idea and concept. I think it's great. And Adams does a really good job with it. They make it fun where it's like a full homepage takeover. Like the logo, the header background, everything on the homepage changed to this really like fun fall pumpkin graffiti theme that just looks super slick. I like, they have the wonderful advantage of having great designers and a strong brand. But at its core, it's still consumable commodity good. But they like brought all this excitement to it. And they're leveraging those ideas from sneaker culture, from streetwear fashion. And having seen them do it, I now think like just about any brand could do this. And it doesn't, you don't have to go to the extreme they did, but just any limited edition brand collab that makes sense, why not? Because it gives it creates urgency and scarcity in a legitimate way. I'm all on board with it. I like it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Hoonigan, you mentioned...
I agree with doing it in that it clearly makes money. I'm just saying personally, as a consumer, I hate it.
Well, you had an experience.
I hate the ultra limited thing. Hoonigan is doing it that they're like, I'm sure Hoonigan has and Adams has enough that they're selling it for a significant portion of the people are actually getting it.
Yes.
Whereas a significant portion of the Adidas people are not getting it.
Yeah, the chances are I'm not going to get my Lego sneakers.
I mean, I had this too. Nintendo announced a thing where they were, it's like the 35th anniversary of Mario. And so they released Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which is like Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy. They're releasing them on the Switch. So I bought that because I'm like, I love those games. And I'm just going to buy games I already own again. And so I saw a thing they had on their website that was like, we have this like all these sweepstakes and whatever, but we have these 5 little pins. It's a pin set of like the Mario 2D cartoon, like how he looked in Mario 3 and on all the boxes in the 80s, like how Mario was depicted. And I was like, and they were like, and you have to do these 5 things. And the hardest one was buy Mario 3D All-Stars. So I was like, well, I've already done that one. So the rest are just like, go on our website and like click on this poll. And
it's funny to think of the curmudgeonly Paul Rita as being like, I want these Mario pins.
I did want the Mario.
I'm gonna jump through some hoops to get the Mario pins. It's just so off-brand for you.
I already did the hard one. So the other ones where it's like, click on this link, listen to the Mario music mixer, like download your big JPEG of your favorite Mario. And
at this point, like there's so much involved to do it. Yeah, I'm already thinking that
no, it was literally click on 5 different links. That's all it was.
Okay.
So I did all of those things, and they were like, all right, well, it's going to take a couple days for us to like figure out when we're going to unlock the pins. But so the pins don't unlock until like 2 days after Mario All-Stars is released. So you might have to wait a couple days before you can claim them. So I was like, all right, cool. And so I just waited, and then finally, the day it was supposed to go, that evening was like, oh, I wonder if I can claim those Mario pins. I went and logged in, and they were like, oh yeah, those are all gone. What are you talking about? And I looked, and I Googled on Twitter, and
you Googled on Twitter?
I Googled on Twitter, and
Google's like Kleenex now.
Yeah, they. So what happened was they didn't announce the exact time that it was going to be released. They did it at like 2 Central, and the entire Nintendo website crashed. And all the pins were gone within the first hour. So if you didn't just like randomly check it at the right time and click on the link to get your code to get the pins, you didn't get the pins. They made an hour's worth of pins.
That's
and I
brutal.
was so pissed.
Right. Okay. So that's where this gets a bad rap, is because it is such, because of those the scarcity creates this insane demand, and then rarely can they ever actually meet it. Then for them, it's like, how much does a pin cost? Pins are extremely inexpensive.
That's the thing. I was super mad. If you were just like, Paul,
did they make 100 pins, 1,000?
Yeah.
We don't know.
It's like, oh, do you want $10 worth of Mario pins? I'm like, I mean, I'm not paying $10 for them. They're like, well, do you want to like maybe get free Mario pins? Well, of course I do. And you're like, cool. And they just turned around and went, oh, by the way, you're not getting them. It's like, well, I wanted them though.
Yes.
Like you can't.
No, and I think that the danger is that if you go to like the extreme experience, that we're used to with a brand like Supreme, where it's like, oh, push notification or SMS that the sale opened, and a whole bunch of scalpers used automation tool. This is why all the sneaker drops are in apps or done by random drawing, is because people would write scripts to just instantaneously buy it the moment it was available, as many as they could get, so that they would just turn around and flip. They'd wait, a month and sell them on eBay for 5x markup. It's crazy.
I mean, I agree with the way Hoonigan and Adams do it, in that they're like, we're doing a special limited edition. Buy it now, because at some point in the near future, we are going to stop selling it. I do not like, we're doing an ultra secret sneaker drop that you need to jump through 12 hoops to get. Oh, by the way, you didn't get it. Like that. And you're not Adidas. You're not Supreme. You don't have the cachet to do that. Anyone listening to this. So don't try it that way.
Or if you are going to make it clear up front,
if you're only making 10, say you're
I
only
made
making
100,
10, yeah.
I got 100. When I sell out of 100, that's the end of it.
Yeah.
And that way you set the expectation. And so if you want to do you could apply this to Black Friday, and the way Hoonigan did it that I thought was really brilliant last year, and I think I've given this as an example several times now because I love it so much. They did free gift with purchase. So it's like any order over $50 gets this limited edition lapel pin. The lapel pin could only be, you could only get it as a free gift with purchase. There was no way to buy it from the site. There was never. And even better, every single day the pin changed. And they told you in advance, like, hey, it's a different pin every day. But you didn't know which day it was going to be. So now, like, doing these limited editions where you really build up the hype in advance, and now they're like rolling, like, let's say you've got different colors of a sneaker. You could do like a different color each day. And then by doing that, you really extend out that hype machine. And that's what this is about. Mm-hmm. It's just like, let's all just get excited about, ultimately a silly tchotchke, but that's the fun of it. It's like, especially now where we need that distraction and we want that retail therapy. I think this kind of stuff will work better than ever this year.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could think of 5 things and do like 5 different weird things every day leading up to Black Friday, I think that would just like, people need something to focus on.
Yeah,
they need something to think about.
We got, when this drops, 35 days till the election, I think. But the election will be over by Black Friday. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. If we're really unlucky, it won't be over till January. No, like, I think by Halloween, I'm going to be like planning out my doomsday bunker.
I went to the weed store, got a lot of weed.
I'm sorry, you went to the cannabis dispensary?
Legal cannabis dispensary here in Illinois.
Legal cannabis dispensary.
And I got some like ultra indica.
The one that Jim Belushi was at the opening for?
Yes. And I got some ultra indica chill out, and I am gonna chill out.
So again, this is for us. This is, if this sounds weird, we got legal weed January 1st. I went January 1st, stood out with my sister-in-law in the freezing cold in Chicago January. But I wanted to be there and hear it, and it was really the coolest part was when it opened. You heard everyone cheer, and it was like hundreds of people in line. It's freezing out. But they made it really fun. There was a guy playing tin drums. They were giving out free coffee. There were like various vendors giving out swag. They were just like giving away, free weed. But I don't know, it was cool to be. I wanted to be a part of that experience. It was fun. Not that I know anything about drugs. Let's move forward. I want to briefly discuss authenticity. We've touched on it, and then we will dive into a Shinola teardown and wrap it up. So. With authenticity in brands, if I tell you a story about my life as a person, and it is just wildly or factually incorrect, you would say, that guy is a liar. At some point, if a brand becomes big enough, they just get a free pass, and they could do what Nikola did. If you're not familiar with Nikola, it is a...
it's not Tesla.
It's not... I know, that name is ridiculous.
I mean, that's part of their scam.
Yeah, so... Nikola is a Tesla competitor that was going to sell a hydrogen fuel semi-truck, and they showed up out of nowhere and raised a bunch of money.
They signed a deal with GM. A co-working deal with GM. Yeah,
and they said, we've got, when they announced the truck, they said, hey, it works. And it turned out it didn't quite work. How did they actually achieve the demonstration of their semi-truck?
Well, the first demonstration where it was on like a table or whatever.
It was on the stage with the guy.
It was on the stage with them. People looked very closely at the photos, and there was like a cable running underneath.
A power cable.
Yeah, so the car was plugged in to something that it was running off of, and then they were like, no, we're going to release a video that shows our truck. And
when we say truck, this is an 18-wheeler.
It was an 18-wheeler. It was a semi, and so there was a video, and you saw the truck going down the road. Note how very specific I am being in my language here when I say it was a video of the truck moving down the road.
And it didn't turn out that this was CG or a green screen. No, even better. How did the truck drive, Paul?
They put the truck on a slight incline and then just like
pushed it,
put it in neutral, so it just rolled across the screen. And then when...
Of course it was a silent running vehicle.
Yeah.
It was rolling downhill.
It had no engine in it. And When they
But they swore up and down that this was a real working vehicle from like the moment they unveiled it.
and so when people called them out on that, they were just like, "We never said the car was running."
Yeah, we never said it was propelled under its own power.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like rules lawyer stuff like my kids do. They're like, well, you never said we shouldn't bungee jump off the third floor of the house? I'm like, okay, I didn't think I had to.
But this is but Nikola is like, someone's going to jail for that company.
So when we
that's
say,
different.
all right, so when we say be authentic, we've established Nikola, like that's fraud. That's inauthentic. That's no good, bad. All right, we've got that one and the NS8 guy. That's inauthenticity. That's fraud. At least they had a working product, though.
Yeah.
Did
they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so. I'm going to go with yes. But then you get a brand like Madewell or Shinola. And Madewell they sell denim, and it's this storied brand with this family history of denim.
1937 we were founded.
Salvage denim since 1937. Well, and it turned out the reality is, God, who was it? I believe it's J. Crew.
J. Crew, yeah.
In 1937, this guy writes in a Inc. article that I will link to. Yeah, wait, which is it? BuzzFeed. I'll link to this. In 1937, my great-grandfather started a workwear company in New England called Madewell. In 2006, 17 years after the factory shut down, J. Crew relaunched a women's clothing company with the same name and logo based on a 50-year history in which it had no part.
Well, and part of it is Madewell in that it was literally made well in Massachusetts, and like it's just 50 years of denim and workers wear, and then the company went out of business, and J. Crew bought the dead brand name.
The CEO of J. Crew, Mickey Drexler, acquired the logo and the trademark from this company that was founded in 1937.
And now it's just regular Chinese crap. But it's like they're authenticity washing it by working it through, being like, oh, well, remember the factory in Massachusetts in 1937, and it was built on a dream, and blah, blah, blah. It's just the same Chinese crap that J. Crew sells everywhere. But they have an authentic logo and company name on it, so now you pay more.
Their website used to be madewell1937.com.
Yeah.
That was how everything was just about the fact that this brand was from 1937.
Yeah.
And the question is like, well, is it? Because it's like the brand name is, but their whole thing was pushing this story that would like it was theirs, and it really wasn't. And so, yeah, it's authenticity washing. It's not, it wasn't true. But is that fraud? No, probably not. It depends on like how they're presenting it. So this is where it gets squishy.
I mean, this is shittier than selling things with Sezzle, I think.
Yes, yeah. But
and so
is it criminal? No, it's not criminal. Is it unethical and immoral? Probably.
Is it gross? Yeah, I think it's gross. It's like, well,
for sure.
And Shinola. So now we're going to talk about Shinola, which is we're going to do a teardown on their store. But I mean, Shinola's Detroit, made in Detroit.
That was their whole thing. It's all you heard about.
All right. Well, the reason it's Detroit is because before they started the company, they had a focus group where they were like, all right, will you spend, I don't remember, it was like a belt. It was it was a wallet. They were like, would you spend $5 on this wallet, period? And they looked at the numbers on that. Then they said, well, would you spend $10 if it was made in the USA? And that got good numbers. And then they went, oh, well, would you spend $15 if it was made in the USA in Detroit? And that got even fine numbers. So they're like, oh, Detroit's the winner. And so then they bought the name Shinola, which was a shoe shine company that went out of business in 1960. And
hence the American phrase, you don't know shit from Shinola.
Yes.
Literally referred to this brand.
That your grandpa would say to you.
Okay, yes. Yeah, because certainly neither of us are running around saying
went out of business in 1960. So then in like 2011, a finance guy pretty much was just like, bought the name Shinola, gonna slap Detroit on everything. Now I could sell it at 3x markup, or like 3 times the markup I normally would, because people like the idea of that. I mean, it has no connection to any of it whatsoever.
Is the company in Detroit?
The company is in Detroit.
Okay.
They got busted by the FTC because they were like, made in Detroit. It wasn't made in Detroit.
Oh, so the FTC actually came down on
the
them.
FTC came down on them. If you note the header on the website, when we look at it, it just says underneath it, Detroit. And doesn't say made in Detroit.
Right. There's quite the implication there.
They-
like, we're in Detroit. Detroit.
They buy stuff from overseas. In some cases, the final assembly occurs in Detroit.
That's like, that would be like if Apple said, well, the iPhone is made in America. No, it's not. Like, maybe final assembly occurs?
No, it's not. None of it is.
I'm sorry, they say, I don't know if they still
They
do.
say designed in California.
Yeah, Cupertino on the back.
But still, yeah, this whole thing, like, we're saving Detroit. We're amazing in saving Detroit. It's like 100, I think I read 100 people work there. It's like, okay, 100 people. You
gave 100 people jobs.
You have a final manufacturing facility that gave 100 people jobs. You're not saving bullshit. This is all just, again, authenticity washing of a fake brand name that you bought with zero history, claiming you're saving a city where 99% of your business actions do not occur in.
All right, so if I'm, well, the way Inc. magazine described this, and I'll link to this article. The article is entitled "The Real History of America's Most Authentic Fake Brand." And the subheading, a mogul from Texas uses the country's least aspirational city as the backdrop for his next global lifestyle company, Shinola, the $225 million experiment in manufactured authenticity. So what's why go through all this effort? Why resurrect these old brand names just to borrow some story and then try and gussy it up as like this generational, artisanal, handmade thing, whether it's denim or timepieces, whatever. It's because stories sell. People love stories. And what always baffles me is when I interview merchants on the show, it's like, tell me your story, tell me your journey. And those journeys are often very interesting. And when I talk to merchants on the phone for the first time, I'll say, well, tell me about your business. How'd you get here? How'd this happen? And they'll tell me this really interesting story. And then I'll go on their website and I'll check the about page and I'll check the homepage. The story isn't there. They completely leave it out. Whereas these very, Shinola, $225 million invested, they see the importance of a brand story and they are willing to spend the money to get a brand story that they could say is theirs. And so I think the takeaway is, as a merchant, you don't have to go through any of these shenanigans. You have your story. Just tell your story. And I've mentioned in the past, StoryBrand is like a really great framework. You could find their workbook and go through it to try and develop your brand story, because I think it's important. Any closing thoughts on authenticity, Mr. Rita?
I mean, if you want to be... We'll say don't lie, but apparently you don't receive any punishment for lying. So why not lie?
No! Well, this is not great PR. We were able to easily find the truth of these things and then talk about it
true.
In here and go, that's not great. And know that, like, Madewell's website used to be Madewell 1937. Now it's just Madewell. So I don't know how much
easier domain. They probably just didn't have the original domain.
No, I was gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, but you're probably right.
No benefit of the doubt for giant conglomerates.
For J. Crew. No, they. Okay. Just don't lie. Like, your own story's probably pretty good. Just tell that story. It's these brands that don't have one, that, like, J. Crew doesn't have a story to tell, so they're gonna adopt somebody else's. Let's do a Shinola teardown. And do we know what platform this is on?
It's
not Shopify. Based on .html being in these URLs.
Well, I looked at view source. There was no /Shopify anywhere.
Okay, so yeah, not Shopify, but we don't know what it is. And landing on the site, I am thrilled to see extremely clean main menu and header. And they have their promo is a watch about voting.
Well, it just show that you voted.
So you buy a watch?
I don't know.
It's called. Wait, does that say Detrola on it?
Detrola is one of their collections.
Okay.
It's like Detroit type stuff.
So we're really just going deep on Detroit.
Again, People were willing to pay $15 for the pen instead of $10 because you had Detroit onto it.
I see. So in the title, Shinola Detroit, you're right, the logo, Shinola Detroit. The watch itself says Shinola Detroit. The implication, of course, is that everything is made in Detroit, and it isn't the case.
It's assembled in Detroit
I see.
up to 100 people at any given time.
Uh-huh. So I like it, on the homepage. It's not a video, but it's very bold. It's colorful. It's highly stylized, and it's like like a slideshow.
Oh, I mean, I'll call it a
product
video.
photos.
I mean, it's like an animated GIF, but I mean,
it looks good.
Yeah, it's movement, which is good, but it's not a slideshow. That's different thing to different thing, but it still has movement. I think that's where we come down. Homepage movement good, slideshow bad, because it's giving you one thing and taking another thing away.
Yes. And then scrolling on down, they've got, they try and segment people, which is, I always think is smart. Men's watches, women's watches with 2 featured promos. They really keep it to like just a 2-column grid. And at any given time, they've made the elements so big, you really just have you only have the one decision at any time as you scroll through the homepage. And so first they try and segment us. Now they're going to show us their featured collection. I wish they'd showed us that first. I want more products. I think their watches are good looking. So why not lead with that? And I always find it very baffling when you're on an e-commerce website and you have to hunt to find a product photo. That should be what you lead with, right? And then finally, I'm over halfway down. Now I get to bestsellers where I could see their best-selling stuff. It's in a slider. I'd prefer it be a grid, but it's there at least. And looks pretty good. And there's a wish list. I can wish list this stuff. And a little bit of social. The final thing on here, social proof, where they've got a quote from what I assume is a shopper, but who knows. And a very clean footer. That's a very nice footer. It's all just Helvetica, black and white.
Well, but
nice.
Also note the quote from the person is, "She's from Detroit."
Oh,
and
she
it's
is.
Such a great expression of Detroit.
It's a symbol of confidence, a badge of honor, and an expression of the place I grew up in.
As someone who grew up in Chicago and have gone to many Chicago Blackhawks games, I believe I am legally obligated to declare Detroit sucks.
I see.
Detroit sucks.
Okay. Please direct your emails to paul@ethercycle.com.
I'm sorry. I would get kicked out if I didn't say it.
Don't you live in the suburbs?
It counts. Cook County.
It's Cook County. You're right. Okay. All right. Fine. As the actual Chicago residents are like, this guy sucks. All right. Going back up to the
Better
header.
than Detroit.
They've got, if you hover over, men, women, supply, it's a main menu.
Good mega menu.
It's a mega menu, but it's clean, it's nice, it's easy to navigate. One subtle thing they did here is it is all left aligned. So my mouse goes straight down from the main menu to the stuff in the mega menu. And a lot of mega menus have an odd issue where they'll kind of you'll hover and sometimes they'll close on you. And that can be frustrating. This one does not appear to have that problem. So well executed. And they break it down first by broader collection by intent. So it's men, women, supply. And I really don't know what the difference is there.
Supply is not gendered.
Okay.
They're women's clocks.
You're right. Well, under women, there's a clock section, but so there's some overlap there, which is fine. Men shop by category. So they're known, clearly men's watches are their thing. Should we try and shop for some men's watches?
Sure. And we're going to buy the Runwell Sport Chrono. It's got that Panda dial.
You are a sucker for Panda dials on chronometers.
Sucker for a Panda dial.
So when you land on the collection page, they've got a lovely featured lifestyle image that shows me 3 watches. I think that's smart. It kind of sets the tone, and it does a better job than a product on a white background, which is what you would typically see in the collection grid. So I like to have these lifestyle images at the top of my collections, especially for a lifestyle brand and something where you're selling a fairly expensive item. These watches are starting at $400 and going up to over $1,000. So non-trivial. On the left side, they're not doing filtering, but it's got like a breadcrumb thing. I don't know that I would heat map it to see if people use it. And then I got filters hidden, and I got my sort. And if you open them both, it kind of breaks. You get 2 X's. Got a little strange on me. And there's a lot of filter options. Honestly, I would prefer the way this worked was we just have regular breadcrumbs, and which people do use. You should have breadcrumbs. And then in that sidebar, do all my filtering down the side where that like extraneous weird navigation is. But you like a chronometer, right? So let's see, can I use the filters to figure that out?
I want that panda down, man.
I actually can't. Yeah, these filters.
It's just like the Runwell watch, the Monster watch, well, the Runwell Sport Chrono.
All right, so Runwell Sport Chrono 48 millimeters, the one you want, right?
Yeah.
All right, when you hover it over it, it has an add to cart button. I think that's a misstep. There's no way I'm just like arbitrarily adding a few things for $900 from the collection grid and then buying it. I do like that they've got this new arrival text. I think it looks nice. And so far, this whole site really clean, and they've paid careful attention to typography, content. Everything's very consistent.
No, it's really good.
Once we land on this thing, whoa! What I love about this product detail page, this is the first page where it's really, that it has impressed me that I like, is the product detail page, where they've got this huge, wide landscape image where I can really see the details on this watch. It's nice.
Yeah, the image is really big, really clean, really great. And I mean, it's got that thing where when you scroll down, there's all the information, extra sales information, but it keeps the product form is positioned sticky and will just stick there to the top of your screen.
We see that a fair bit on these very premium sites.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really good. I mean, you don't have to go back up.
This watch weirdly has no reviews. That's suspicious.
It says new it said it was new on the collection page.
New and they haven't shipped any? Like, did we just happen to land on the site right when this thing came out?
It says new arrival. Well, maybe it takes a while to get reviews.
I see. It's such a rough look when you don't have reviews. Maybe they should have done given a few away and got some reviews that way. I suppose they don't have to. The Amazon sellers know all about that.
What the review's going to say? Don't keep time good.
But they do this product detail page. They do a good job where we have alternating images left right as we scroll down. That really, when you're selling a watch for $900, you need to go into the details and justify why this thing costs $900. And they do that with these beautiful macro photos and pretty good text descriptions. Really broken up very well, makes it very easy to scan and read. And for presentation, it includes a lovely wooden box. And then finally, anything else they need to tell you, they put in a tab description at the bottom where it goes details, specs, reviews. That's pretty nice. And then you've got on the side, you permanently have that product form with another product description in there.
And we could pay $77 a month with a firm.
Yes, or 0% APR, as low as $77 a month with a firm.
So less bad than a credit card.
Now, it does say starting at 0% APR. So that implies there are, for less qualified buyers, they're going to get hit with interest, and I don't know what it is.
Also note the movement in the details is made with Swiss and imported parts.
It's a little vague.
Thought it was made in Detroit.
Movement? It's a quartz movement?
Yeah, they're all quartz.
For $900?
That's part of the scam. Because you're made in Detroit, you're paying extra.
For a quartz watch?
Yep. I looked. The Monster watches. That's like the Monster collection. Those are like their dive watches. Those are their Rolex ripoffs. Those have a mechanical thing, but they're like $2,000.
The face on the dive watch, that is straight up a Tudor, which is one of Rolex's brands. You know what's interesting on the product form? It's got the add to cart button, and they say free 2-day shipping to the U.S., free returns, and if you click it, it links to it looks like a Zendesk help desk article about shipping and returns. I would probably make that a tool tip.
Yeah.
They've got the add to cart
just
button.
A pop up.
The add to cart button has no hover state. I think this is an opportunity to really polish this thing up, make it shine. Put like a nifty animation, a subtle but nifty animation on the add to cart button. And then there's a note that's interesting right underneath the add to cart button. This item ships internationally. So if that's a common question for you,
well, that might imply to me that some items don't ship internationally.
I had that thought. Yeah. And then once you add it to cart, they've got this lovely drawer cart. It says "My Cart" is the title. I like that. It's got all my info, and they did a cool thing of you can add gift options to the individual item. It looks like, and as an upsell, I can. It has a link to compatible watch straps.
And when you click on it, it's really good. I mean, just looking at the URL, obviously, again, this is not Shopify, but I mean, you could do this in Shopify. Strap compatible case, 48 millimeter Runwell Sport. So these are truly only the straps that will work.
Oh yeah,
that.
It looks like it's like the equivalent of like filtered by tag.
Yeah, these are only
or its own. They made a collection. Oh no, it's a filter. I could see it's a filter applied. That's clever.
Yeah, these will all work on that one.
They say, hey, let's increase this average order value on this $875 watch by $50 to $225, which is an outrageous sum for a watch strap. That's smart, but when you're buying a watch strap, the agony is, well, is it going to fit my watch? Especially for $200. And so they're saying, hey, add compatible watch straps. They're suggesting it and removing the objection. It's smart.
I want that dark cognac leather strap with the light stitching, but it's sold out.
Oh no, I can't.
Also, it's
do they have like a back in stock?
It's also $95. I can join the waiting list by giving my email.
And I think that's smart. I like any kind of back in stock notification system. I think that's always bright. And then they say in here they've got some conditional logic. Your order qualifies for complimentary 2-day shipping. This is a thing we do in Shopify stores on like a weekly basis, where we add a little bit of liquid logic. Like, if I know your free shipping threshold is $50, then we put some liquid logic in. Like, if cart subtotal over $50, then display message, your order qualifies for complimentary 2-day shipping. Right. So you could borrow this in Shopify.
Oh, the gift options are just a message. It should just say add gift message.
All right, and then when I get to the checkout, it's a 2-step non-Shopify checkout, so I lose interest. But what I think is interesting about it is I would suspect that they said, let's make it look like Amazon's checkout. Like, have you got to the checkout?
Yeah.
That's totally Amazon's. This is inspired by Amazon, right? It feels like it.
I couldn't tell you.
I think it is.
It's a good site. It's a really well done, clean, easy site. They're not doing anything crazy. They're just presenting you with the stuff. Great imagery. I think that.
And for as much as we hammered them on the story, in going from homepage to buy, we never encountered the story.
We never encountered the story. The story is go all the way to the footer, company, about us, then click. There you'll get the story. But other than that, no story.
I'm scrolling through it. Okay.
Again,
so maybe
it's sort of like Nicola, where it's like it's the things you don't say. If you don't say anything, no one can tell you that you lied to them.
Well, maybe this was this stuff was here, and then they went, you know what? Because of the criticism, let's get rid of it.
Yeah,
let's get rid of that our stolen Detroit valor.
You need an easier to say word than authenticity washing.
It does in fact. Authenticity washing is great. I like it. It's accurate, at least. Today, Shinola employs over 500 people, with an average of 100 in manufacturing at any given time. We proudly design all our products and globally source the best components. Seasoned manufacturers both in the US and around the world. You're right. So, I suspect that this was much more... Because I remember when this brand came out, and it was like, yeah, manufacturing's coming back to Detroit. And it was very clear this was like Detroit start to finish.
I remember they had a big ad during the Oscars that they were just like, we're saving Detroit. Like, yeah, America. And I was just, it smelled bad to me. And I remember Googling it, and I found that Inc. article.
Okay.
And one of them, Peter Farrelly, mentioned it, because the Farrelly brothers are from Detroit. When Peter Farrelly won Best Director or Best Picture for Green Book, he freaking mentioned it during his acceptance speech.
What?
He's just like, I got a Shinola watch they're bringing. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Crazy. And it turned out we're just reselling it. We're in Detroit, but not what it not everything it claimed to be. Mm-hmm. But you're right. I think that clearly they they've walked that back, it seems like. So, all right, let's wrap it up there. I would love to hear your thoughts on this episode. Please join our Facebook group. Search the Unofficial Shopify Podcast Insiders on Facebook. Come talk to us. We would, maybe you can ask a perfectly innocent question, and then we'll go on a 10-minute diatribe about it on the show.
Yeah,
does that sound fun for everyone involved?
You want that to happen.
Of course you do. It's kind of fun. Or, comment on YouTube or however you get the show. Anyway, we will be back next week with lots more excitement. Thank you for listening.
Bye-bye.